want you to look at your neighbor and just ask them, are you in the right environment? Is it starting to make sense to you now? Why am I frustrated? Could it be I'm frustrated? I just want you to look at your neighbor and just ask them, are you in the right environment? Is it starting to make sense to you now? Why am I frustrated? Could it be I'm frustrated because I'm trying to operate in this arena? Why does it seem like I can't get ahead in life? Could it be because I'm operating in the wrong? It is not supposed to be this hard. Why does it seem like I can't get past this? It is simply because in many cases we are operating as if we're from here. And we have limited ourselves to the laws of this earth. And so instead of us dominating it, the situations in the earth is dominating us. But grab your neighbor and tell them no more after today. No more. Oh, God. I'm about to shake myself. I'm about to walk in power that I've never walked in before. I'm about to walk in victory that I've never walked in before. I'm about to decree and declare some things in my life. And I'm about to come out of all these crazy situations. Because today I recognize that I am from another arena. I am a spiritual being. And I can speak in the earth, and the earth must submit to what I say. Somebody shout glory. All right. Woo. All right. Y'all sit down and give me about 10 more minutes and I'm going to be out of here. So, you know, some weeks ago I started looking at Adam. So God didn't just take the man and put him just anywhere on earth. When you read the book of Genesis, God chose a specific spot on this big planet and put the man in that special chosen place, which we know as Eden. Somebody shout Eden. Now, the Greek version of the Old Testament relates the word to the Hebrew verb Eden or Eden, which means delight. Eden is translated as the Garden of Delight. Other occurrences of the word Eden in the Old Testament equate Eden with the garden of the Lord. So now, most of the time when we look at the word Eden, we think that it was just a place for Adam. But the reality is, Eden was not just a place for Adam. Eden was a place for God. Adam just happened to live with God. Okay. Isaiah 51 and 3. Throw it on the screen real quick. Isaiah 51 and 3. It says, for the Lord shall comfort Zion. Isaiah 51 and 3. For the Lord shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. Now watch this. He will make her wilderness like what? He will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like what? The garden of the Lord. So now Eden is really called the garden of the Lord. Ezekiel 28 and 13, and this takes you to a whole nother level, and I dare not get into the spiritual meaning of this particular passage and what is really going on here, but I just want to run reference to you so you can understand that Eden is a place not just for us, but it was a place that God created for us. Okay. Ezekiel 28:13 says, thou hast been in Eden. He talks to the serpent, the enemy, the devil. He says, thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. All right. That's a whole nother level of preaching. All the preachers are looking at me hoping that I go there, but I'm not going to go there. You have been, he tells Satan, he says, you've been real close to me. You have been in Eden. I let you in Eden, my garden. I let you live in my house and you cut a food. I let you live with me. Oh, see, this tells me on a whole nother level that Eden was just not a place for Adam, but before Adam was, Eden was, and Satan was there before God even made it for man. That's why Satan don't like you, because you have taken his place. Oh, y'all gonna miss that. Satan used to live in the Garden of Eden. So Eden now is a location. But when he failed God and disappointed God, God kicked him out. And that's why he knew his way around the garden so well. Because he had been there. So when God had planted trees and fixed up the garden, and God made the garden to supply all of earth, he had rivers that was flowing from the garden, and 4 of them, they covered the whole earth. Everything that Adam was need was in Eden. And everything that the earth needed that was surrounding Eden was already in Eden. He says that Eden was the supply house. Oh, that's on a whole nother level. All of the gold and all of the diamonds, all of the sapphire, it came from Eden. All right. That tells me that if I want the riches, if I want the living water, if I want the precious stone, if I want the things of God, I need to get back to Eden. Lord have mercy. Okay, maybe. Okay. All right. Can you get a picture of this? Eden was the one place where God's presence dwelt on earth. It was the garden of his presence, a spot unbroken, where they had unbroken relationship, unbroken fellowship between God and man. You know, when you look at Genesis, you have to check this out. Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and 8th verse. It says, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. See, most of us, when we read that, we think that God is planting a garden and the garden is Eden. No. God even planted a garden in Eden just for mankind. God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. So Eden was big. And so God says, listen here, I got some stuff here, Adam. I want you to live in my place. I want you to live in my house. I want you to live in my presence. I want you to live with me. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to plant you a little garden over here in Eden, my place, my garden. I don't want you to ever forget that even though I give you a garden, it is still Eden and it's still mine. Some of y'all missed that. I know that you think that the earth, I know you think that house is yours, but I don't want you to forget that the house is still on the earth, and the gold is mine and the silver is mine. And even though I gave you a little spot, don't you dare get crazy and act like you're more than I am. Oh, Lord. I don't know why people get the big head when they get a new house. I don't know why people get the big head when they get a new car. I don't know why people get the big head when they get some new clothes. I don't know why people get the big head when God blessed them to get into 6 figures. I don't know why people get the big head, because even though God gave it to you, you don't really own it. It's still in the confinement of what God has created. understand people that think they own the money. God gave you the health. He gave you the ability. He gave you the job. And all he said is 10%, and you're too prideful, you're too bigoted to give God that dime out of that dollar. You're acting like you're living in the earth when you should live on a whole nother level.
This message has been brought to you by Bishop Charles Young and Deliverance Tabernacle Christian Center.